Hey y'all, how y'all doing? Uh, I guess you can hear me and see me. I don't know, cause I'm getting this weird like update from StreamYard. I'm assuming y'all can see me and hear me, but you tell me. You tell me. Yes, I sound low. Okay, thank you. Because I was like, I was about to go live. I know I'm late, and y'all know I always have a story. So I see why. Much better. And maybe you can hear me better now. How about that? You tell me. You can see me, you can hear me. Okay, good. All right. Awesome. Like usually I'm much more prepared than just now. And I'm late. I think by a minute though. But of course, I got a story to tell y'all, so might as well. So I was busy today, as you know. Nomad Noir. It begins tomorrow, and I'm so excited, right, to welcome these wonderful ladies to Portugal. Uh, if some of y'all have been to my events, they're gonna be in for a nice treat. If you're interested in going to Nomad Noir 2025, there are there's going to be a spring cohort and a fall cohort. So just hit the link in the description for the wait list. So there's that. So I've been running around trying to get all ready. We're going to have a nice little tomorrow. I can't tell you everything because I don't tell them everything because I like surprises. I don't really like receiving surprises, but I like giving surprises. So needless to say, they got a lot of surprises. So that was one thing. And then, literally right before I went live, I was doing some stuff for Noir Noir. And I thought something was up because I was trying to pay for some stuff earlier and had some issues with one of my cards and attached to Blaxit Global. And then I'm like, let me just look real quick before I go live. Don't you know, some little scammer must have got a hold of my little account and went to town and blew up my business account card. So I guess the rest of my night is going to be with Capital One talking about this foolishness. But, scammers be scamming. But those that feel like they are playing me play themselves. So, yeah, I'm here. I'm here. I was like, well, I can't deal with that right now. I got to go live, boo boo. So, this is what it is. But so glad that you guys are here. Like I said, I'm getting ready for Nomad Noir. I know a lot of things are going on in America, which we will talk about. And I guess this is kind of a little bit of a continuation of last week's conversation because there are some wonderful things happening for Black women in addition to moving abroad. Like, have y'all been watching Simone Biles at the Olympics? Lauren Scruggs at the Olympics? Like, Black women are showing up and showing out. I love it. And look, I love it. I'm happy. So yes. So with that, I just want to say hello to those of y'all who are in the chat. And then we're going to get into it because, like I said, it's a lot to talk about tonight. Teresa was first in the chat. I know. It's dated yesterday? It is? Oh, I must have did that. Oops. Yes, because that's the time. It's today. I don't know. Yeah. I know. I mean, today's Thursday, right? Is it? Today's Thursday? Yeah, that's what I said. Action VJ's in the house. Tanya's in the house. Hey, Nicole's in the house. Yes. Hey, the Howards are in the house. Carla's in the house. Yes, I know. Teresa was on that. Yeah, I don't know how that happened. Sometimes when I schedule it, and this was a crazy week with a lot going on, so it is me. The ABX girl, Frederica, can't wait to see you. Hey, Helen. Hey, y'all. It is Thursday. Yes. Not to say I wouldn't go live on a Wednesday, but I usually give a little preamble. And then, if you're on the email list, you got the email today. So if you're not on the email list, you're really missing out. You are. Hey, Greta, hope you're healing well. Jametta, yes. They are going to have a time. I'm going to toot my own horn. Toot, toot. They going to have a good time. And I like keeping them in suspense. I'm giving them a little bit of detail, but not too much. Also, because we have 2 cohorts, and the next cohort doesn't come for a couple weeks, so I don't want to tell too much right now, because then keep them in suspense. Keep them in suspense. Because it makes it more fun. Hey, Double T. Hey, one of our channel members is in the house. Patricia. Hello. Hey, Michelle. Hey, Pisces Pratt. Oh, I buy my own roses. Yes, baby. I can buy myself flowers. Yes. Let me tell you, I have to watch that because I was so busy this afternoon prepping. I did not get to watch it, but I love the fact that they put it on YouTube. But I get the headline, so I was like, yeah, I knew she was going to do it. She crushed it. This is a great year for Black women. Yes. Wow. Oh my gosh, the Nigerian. I missed that one. Hey, Mark Andrew, how are you? Yes. All right. So I think, yes, I know. Shachari, there's so much going on. Okay. So thank you, Chef B. I appreciate that. So yeah, there's a lot going on. How do I put this? Black women have been making some power moves this year. And it hasn't, we're more than halfway through the year. It's shocking to say, right? We have about 4 or 5 months left to the end of this year, right? Oh yeah, because we're in August, right? 4 months to the end of this year, which is crazy. But needless to say, even though we've been having, an amazing run as of late, it hasn't been without its share of challenges, right? And I know people, including myself, are enthused about Kamala Harris potentially becoming our next president, our first Black female president. Look, most of the world have had female heads of state. The U.S., where you been? So excitement, right? But one of the things that has really, energized me for a number of years has been obviously moving abroad. And for me, moving abroad was irrespective of who sat in the Oval, it was, something that I felt that was my calling and something that thankfully I was able to do for myself. And I'm having a fabulous time. Needless to say, what enthuses me even more, especially since I created Blaxit Global, are the massive amounts of Black women I see on a daily basis, taking control of their lives and getting out, right? And they're not, pinning their hopes on, well, if this happens, then I'm going to do that. It's I don't care what's going on. game on. And so, one of the people who definitely I credit for a lot of what has transpired in my life in the past 3 or 4 years. I had the pleasure, and it was a very impactful conversation 3 or 4 years ago that led me here. I was like, who is the best person to have this conversation with? So it is none other than my friend Shar Wynter, the founder of the Xpat app.
Hello.
Hey, 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 girl.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, boy, night.
Well, oh my gosh. So I feel like it's been a long time, but it's been not a long time since I've been on. It's like so much has
I
happened. So
know it
many-
has. And
Yeah.
we had our conversation where we kicked off season 6 of the podcast.
Hmm.
You know, you interviewed me. I have to still publish that one on YouTube.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, it's out there in the ether for those of you who listen to the Blaxit Global podcast. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, for anybody who's new and watching, I'm
Good
Krishan.
chat.
I'm the founder of Blaxit Global. But nevertheless, yeah, a lot has happened, and I always continue to credit you and give you your flowers
I
because
appreciate
it
it.
was our powerful conversation,
Yeah.
some 3-ish years ago that really planted the seed when I was stateside. And you were talking about how you made the decision for yourself to move abroad.
Mhm.
And now we have like so many women that we get the pleasure of seeing,
So many.
at various
So many.
stages.
Yeah.
I'm
And
like, wow.
yeah, and it's crazy because even though like now it's been over 4 years since I've been here, but my sentiment is the same, if not stronger, towards Portugal and just wanting people to understand it's hard to explain, but genuinely like just give yourself the experience because I can't stress enough. Just it's worth it. I know it's not always easy, but it's worth it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And for you, like, on this channel, we've talked about, especially, like I said, this year has been, highs and lows, as it always is for Black women, but we seem to be on the high right now.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
you know, earlier this year, I was talking on the channel about things that were going on, right? The Fearless Fund attacks,
Mhm.
right? We have seen, all the way to Sonia Massey's murder. There's been a spectrum. And then, in that right now, we're dealing with a wave of enthusiasm, rightly so, about Kamala Harris. And then, of course, we're talking about Simone Biles, right? So
Yeah.
there's been like these incredible highs and lows. And one of the things that I've been talking about on this channel is like this roller coaster. Like two things can be true at the same time. You can
Yes.
have a woman who is potentially going to make history as the first Black female president, and on the other side, you also are still dealing with the effects of systemic racism
Hmm.
and lethal racism in many forms in the United States, and systemic.
Yeah.
And like I felt like, I wouldn't say I was like felt like I was pushed out of corporate. I got to a point where I was like, I don't care about what y'all want.
Yeah.
It's about what I want.
Mhm.
And you had, I think, a similar experience in that you got to a point where you were like, damn the salary.
Like, let me tell you, I was like, there's not enough money on this earth. And I know everyone has a price, so I'm probably capping right now, but you get what I'm trying to say. In the environment that I live in right now, none of these companies like could have paid me to stay in the US. Seriously. It was a no for me. It wasn't, yeah. I mean, I literally make less than what I was making in regards to like, bringing in money. Um, what I was making in the US. And this is probably like the best period of my life. And from a like fulfillment perspective, like personal fulfillment, freedom, flexibility, joy, leisure time, creative time. I mean, I could go on and on. I mean, I went through an extreme loss this year and it's really only to make it through it because of having the grounding of like being somewhere safe, which is Portugal. So like when you mentioned the call, I was like, yeah, actually, I'm ready to talk. Like, there's so much I have to say, like so much. So
Yeah,
yeah,
because it is a hard thing to deal with to walk away, right?
it is.
Because there's like, oh, what am I missing out on? And I've worked so hard to get to this point. You went to an HBCU, you did all the things, you worked
What you
for,
want to do?
one of the top
Big
consulting
four,
firms and
yeah,
the whole thing, and you traveled the world, right?
yeah.
And with that, some people be like, oh well, I gotta see it through, or
You need to stay alive. Okay. I'm just gonna cut to the chase.
ooh,
I'm not even gonna sugarcoat anything because like I can be a little bit more raw now after everything that has happened. I have a very
yes,
different outlook on things when it comes to like I think I've tried to play it safe with what I've said online, but you need to keep yourself alive. Okay.
mm-hmm,
And if you are living in a country from various angles trying to actively kill you, like you may not realize it. I'm talking about like emotionally, financially, from your health, from a physical perspective, spiritually.
mm-hmm,
It's okay to leave. It's okay. Like keep yourself alive. That's more important than the accolades, than the status, than the titles, than the money. All of that
mm-hmm,
means nothing if you're not here. And having experience and seeing firsthand the systemic racism and also just toxic environment kill someone very close to me, like I can affirmatively say like it is a matter of life or death for some of us. And so I do think people should like put yourself first and think about your future and your
mm-hmm,
longevity, what's sustainable. So I know everything I'm saying seems so like, but it's coming from a place of like, I've literally watched this with my own eyes. Like
mm-hmm,
the situation there for some people is actually dire. And I actually think the scariest part about it is that people don't realize it. So
yeah,
watching the outside, you feel like you're in a crazy place, you know,
mm-hmm,
like how do you not see this? How do you normalize mass shootings? How do you normalize food that is literally poisoning you? How do you normalize a
mm-hmm,
healthcare system that is 100% dedicated to not your health? You know what I mean? Like not
yeah,
keeping you healthy, right? You know, an education system that is literally being torn apart so that you can't learn about your history. Like how do you normalize all of these things? You
mm-hmm,
should It's not normal. So like my advice to people is like not everyone's going to leave obviously, but
yeah,
give yourself some options. Just give
mm-hmm,
yourself some options. It doesn't have to be forever.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because you could just take a break for a little while, couple
Mhm.
months, a year. I mean, I'm coming up on 11 months this weekend,
Yeah.
and so next month I'm gonna have to do a 1 year celebration, which is wild that a year.
I can't believe it. I've actually I've said this before. Like I have not seen out of all the people that I've met that's been on this journey, Krishan, I have not seen anyone execute a plan as eloquently as you did. I mean, it was like, listen, so anyone who's really like struggling with, I don't know where to start, because that's often, I was actually talking to a really good friend this week, that I grew up with, and pretty much like a brother to like my sister and I,
Mm,
and they were just expressing some things, and I was like, I get it. It's
mm,
like sometimes you don't even know where to start. You
yes.
don't even know what to Google. You don't even know, like, you are in a place of like, you don't know what you don't know. So it feels so overwhelming that you can't even take that first step, right?
Mm-hmm,
The part that is like doing the research.
mm-hmm.
So it's like anyone who's in that place right now, the best thing you can do is find community of people who are already where you want to be.
Amen.
Surround yourself with the doers. Okay. It's one thing to have big dreams, and I think that's great,
Mm-hmm.
but surround yourself also and make sure you're in their circles with the people who have done it, because
Yes.
otherwise you can get caught up in this cycle of surrounding yourself with people who, like, ideas are great, right? Like, and I
Mm-hmm.
know nothing happens overnight, but they also don't know what they're doing. So like, we're all trying to figure it out as we go, right? Because I'm at a
Mm-hmm.
stage where like there's some things I want to do. Like I want to early retire, right? I don't
Yeah.
know how to do that yet. So what am I
Mm-hmm.
doing? I'm
Yeah.
putting myself in communities for the early retires, like, like
Mm-hmm.
people who've early retired, because hello, our rich journey. It's
You
like I'm
know.
a really awesome family here in Portugal. Like
Mm-hmm.
financial independence, retire early community that they
Yes.
built, a really beautiful one. And yeah, I have like a little timeline set for like within the next 10 years. So like I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
be 40 in December. I'm really excited
Hey.
and celebrating my, like as I think about like what I, just some things I want in the next 10 years. One is like I want to be in a financial position where if I'm working, it's because I want to, not because I have to.
Yes.
So you can call it
Yes.
retirement, call it whatever you want, but yeah, it's like put yourself in the community with the people who are
Mm-hmm.
doing things that you desire to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally, that was the thing that changed for me. Like, I had been on this plan since 2017, but it was seeing, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, Atiana Jefferson, right? I remember
So many.
reacting to Sandra Bland,
Mm-hmm.
where people were being cut down in their prime. And always, I knew I had this desire, but I was always feeling like
Mm-hmm.
helpless and ultimately in 2020 definitely hopeless,
Yeah.
because it just seemed like I was in a cage and I couldn't figure out how to get out, and it wasn't even that I didn't know what to do. It was like there was also certain circumstances that I needed to see through,
Mm-hmm.
but then I also had to take a step of, okay, how do I see through to the other side of what that looks like?
Yeah.
And not just get confined to, well, these set of circumstances exist and this is just the rest of my life, right? It was like, okay, well, how do I envision this where, when certain circumstances change, that I can see myself being here. I can see myself having a fulfilling life. And you
Mm-hmm.
certainly was a part of that in all of our conversations and things
Yeah,
like
so many
that.
great
And
combos. Yeah.
yeah, and that's the thing. It's like even with this, almost year under my belt, it goes back to what you were saying earlier. Like we don't know the toll that all of there's a psychological term about weathering, and hopefully, and I said this last week on the channel, the next update of the DSM needs to put in racialized trauma. Like we
Mm-hmm.
have intergenerational trauma and constantly being gaslit,
Mm-hmm.
constantly, as I mentioned earlier, like having this walking this tightrope
Mm-hmm.
where you have these highs and lows, and then you're supposed to like go to the office and act like a whole different person, and it's not healthy, and you're not
Yeah.
seeing the toll it takes on your insides. You're not seeing how it's aging your body. And even though this year has almost year has been fantastic in so many ways, I
Mm-hmm.
can't ignore the fact that a lot of what I've had to deal with from a physical standpoint has been reparative,
Yeah.
right? Because of my
Yeah.
lifestyle being sedentary there, because of the stress that I
Yeah.
had to spend months and hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, putting together, not the pieces the way they were, right? It's learning to deal with how things are changing because of the stressors I was under and the lifestyle. And so I say all that to say, I implore anybody who is sitting there and thinking, oh, well, one more year I can save up,
Mm-hmm.
$10,000 or whatever that number is. What does that mean, right? If you're not here to enjoy it, or
Mm-hmm.
if you have to then spend that 10 because you would have been all right if you left today,
Exactly.
right?
But now you got to go spend on healthcare costs.
Exactly,
Mm-hmm.
right? And or you're banking on, oh well, if this person gets into office, like, you know people have euphoric recall and magical thinking, like, oh, things are going to change. It's like,
No,
really?
there'll be blacklash, and
Exactly. It's a white lash that's coming out. I mean, like that we
you
saw with
um,
Trump talking about, oh, uh, Kamala's trying to be black now, and it's just like, you know,
had an energy to even entertain anything he says. So
yeah, it's like it's infuriating. Or even watching him at NABJ yesterday, right? Like
it's just
you
wasted energy.
see this this rubber stamping of white mediocrity
Mhm.
in the face of black excellence. And
Mhm.
it just makes you want to rip somebody's head off, right?
No, it's exhausting. We're exhausted. I was so
Mm-hmm.
exhausted, and I know things are not perfect abroad, and you will still have to face and deal with things back home. When I say home, like whatever your home country is. Um, but I can do it from the comfort of my home, from the comfort of the beach, from comfort of safe spaces, from the comfort of my nightly walks. Like, just
Mm-hmm.
like I'm able to process these things in a much safer environment. And as a result, I'm actually able to heal and recover and deal much better. Like
Mm-hmm.
the level of emotional resilience that I have built up now being in a
Mm.
safe space,
Yeah.
it's next level. Like when I say next level, like literally, I am a different person emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't felt this strong emotionally ever before. And
Mm.
and I know a really big part of that in, being able to kind of have some fortitude about like, like how I did like emotional fortitude, mental fortitude, whatever you want to call it. It's because like I've had an opportunity to rest and I've had a reset,
Mm.
rejuvenate myself. My day to day is very relaxed and calm.
Yeah.
Even when I have a busy, like I had a very busy client work day today, like very busy. And guess what? I'm fine and relaxed. Like you get what I'm trying to say. Like I don't. This is
Yeah.
not normally. I would have a headache, bags under my eyes, stomach probably
Mm.
be upset. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
like I'm just in a very, very different space. And
Mm-hmm.
I am very appreciative of that because I've been on the other side of this, so I know the difference. I used to have tension headaches all the time. And when I mean all the time
Wow.
was my waking hours were tension headaches. And it was a norm for me. So I didn't realize that that's not normal to
Mm-hmm.
constantly have tension headaches.
Yeah.
I also didn't realize it wasn't normal to always have heart palpitations like
Mm-hmm.
all the time. Like I would say
Oh
like
wow.
once or twice a week. That's
Yeah.
not normal to be
Mm-hmm.
having those heart palpitations. Significantly like reduced, like here maybe like once or twice a year. Like that's a very big difference. You get
Mm-hmm.
what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, like when people are like, "Oh, black women are leaving in droves," I think it's because like you're seeing from other people the way they're living. Like, oh, it doesn't have to be this way. So we're starting to challenge some things that we have
Yes.
normalized that actually are not healthy for us.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm happy that we're having this awakening because nothing brings me more joy than seeing my community do well and win and thrive. Like Krishan can tell you how excited I get all the time. Like if she tells me about anything, I'm like, yes, more of that. We deserve it. We work hard, we're creative, we're brilliant. Our community is very strong. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like I just want to see us win. So and black men as well. Like it's not, just I'm just saying like
Mm-hmm.
I love our community and I really, like it brings me a lot of joy when I follow a ton of people online who are part of our
Mm-hmm.
community, even aspiring to be a part of our community. And it just brings me a lot of joy because I'm like, we deserve this and this is possible.
Yes.
Do not psych yourself
Yes.
into believing that this is some unrealistic um, dream or option for you. Like it's not
Mm-hmm.
unrealistic because not all of us were born into money. Not all of
Nope.
us come from, families that could just, like kind of like pay our way through life. A lot
Yeah.
of us are actually hardworking. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of us took really big risks.
Yes.
I mean, ooh, betting on ourselves is a theme. I don't know
Yeah.
about that in particular, but like just trusting yourself and
Mm-hmm.
you will mess up, you will lose money, things will go
Mm-hmm.
wrong. I have definitely lost money on this journey. I'm not even gonna lie.
Same.
Like I've
With
made some mistakes.
zeros.
I know, like I have made some mistakes. Okay. It has not all been like, rainbows and beaches and sunshine and all
Yeah.
that stuff. But it's a part of the process and it's a lot easier to bounce back because my foundation is strong and safe, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's, I think back to when I was in corporate and I had this, I think it was maybe last 3 or 4 years. All of a sudden, out of the blue, I was having panic attacks. And the trigger,
Mm-hmm.
each time I had them, it was always around a white male.
Mm-hmm.
because I was like, there's a pattern here,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah, what's triggering you? Yeah.
yeah, like what is triggering me? And so I thought about that, and again, just holding on to the hope and the idea, but then living this life now, I could not have envisioned it being as wonderful as it is. Like I knew it was gonna be good, but I was
Mhm.
like, oh,
That surprised you.
it
Yeah.
is good, good.
There are parts of the journey that turned out so much better. Like one of them,
Yes.
never imagined the ease of making friends and building community.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that would be hard because I am an introvert. I know it's hard to believe because I'm so talkative online, but Krishan, no, I'm like a hermit when I'm like physically here. You know?
Me too, girl.
And so, but it's just like my passion for building our community is stronger than like my desire to be left alone and be in my house.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
So
same.
you get what I mean. So, but like even with being an introvert, like being able to make friends and like real meaningful friendships, build
Yes.
meaningful connections with people. It's been so easy. I wasn't expecting that. I thought that was
Mm-hmm.
going to be hard. Now dating is hard, but that's another
Oh,
story.
damn.
But like building community and making friends, meeting people, just having really awesome experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Like we just celebrated Tawana's birthday, and it
Mm-hmm.
was just such a lighthearted, fun day at the beach. I mean, she had a whole day at the beach.
Yeah.
It was so beautiful. And then Krishan's 50th. Let's put it on the record. Krishan made a comment earlier about anyone who's been in her experiences. Listen, top quality, okay? No matter Noir, you all are in for a treat. Listen, the food, the theme, the just the quality of the event, the yacht, everything just so beautiful. Imagine somebody getting together like over 20 people on a yacht dressing in Harlem Renaissance theme. Like it
Yeah.
was such a dope experience. I was like, yo, you need to go into like full-time event planning, Krishan, because this was top
I
tier.
don't know, because let's see if I survive No Man Noir. He said he's got me for a whole month,
To be good. Like just but you know what I mean? Like just but that's the thing, like when you're here, you have some free time. Like for
Yeah.
example, like I work with clients half the week, right? I try to.
Yeah.
When I need some, a little bit more moolah, right? Pay for things. I might
Mm-hmm.
work on Fridays, which is more than half a week. But my whole point is, like you have that flexibility here because
Yes.
it's a more reasonable cost of living. Yes, housing out
Mm-hmm.
is a whole nother situation, but if you can get your housing costs under control, like it's a reasonable everyday, day to day
Mm-hmm.
groceries, transportation, things like that. Reasonable cost of living, and so you have this luxury of free time to
Mm-hmm.
do the things that you just want to do just because. You have
Yes.
time to plan a themed birthday party on a yacht. You have the time to plan trips, to different places, day trips, meeting up with friends just because and having nice, slow dinners. Not like
Mm-hmm.
rushing because you got to go do something or whatever. Easy
Mm-hmm.
mornings at the house. So my lifestyle is very different here. And earlier this year, when my sister transitioned and I had to go back stateside,
Mm-hmm.
support my family, my niece, nephew, mom, grandma, was like, I had to be in the
Mm-hmm.
States longer than I wanted to.
Yeah.
And I was devastated, not just from the
Mm.
loss, but just my realizing how far removed I was from the lifestyle there.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously, when you're stateside, like the cost of food, the cost of transportation, the
Yeah.
cost of just existing there is so much. It further made me appreciate here even more. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
thank God. I do not live here anymore because I was going crazy. Even went through
Wow.
breaking in a car. Mind you,
Oh my
already dealing with
gosh.
my sister, breaking in a car, school shooting, soft lockdown. So that it wasn't actually, sorry, I shouldn't say sorry. Gun, soft lockdown because of a gun. What is a soft lockdown, y'all?
I never even heard of that.
Exactly. So like all of these things happen, and then right down the
Wow.
street from my house, this guy gets shot at Chipotle over some guacamole. And I was like, why am I here?
What?
Yeah, it was on the news. Like literally, when I say down the street, like I'm saying like the Chipotle that we go to over some guac. Like I can't wrap my mind
Mm-hmm.
anymore around the insanity of it all.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it's just like juxtaposing like the two existence, like two compete. Like yes, America is what gives me the freedom to be here because of the passport, right? You know, like I'm
Mm-hmm.
able to legally come over here. But in the same vein, it's like it's just such a crazy place to live. And
Mm-hmm.
every time I go home, because you know, I've been flying back and forth, everybody's like, why don't you just stay? You know, instead of doing all the I'm like, no, I need to come back here to reset. And when I say here, in
Wow.
Portugal, like I
Yeah.
have to come back to my safe space to reset and then, you know, go back and, you know, be there to support my family. But like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not moving back. I'm just right now because we're doing handling logistical things or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
it's just one of those situations where it's like I'm not speaking out of a place of like, oh, you know, I just moved here, everything's so great and all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And everyone's like, oh, you're in a honeymoon phase. I'm like, no, real life is happening. I've been here
Yeah.
for 4 years. I've lived abroad for 7. I am saying affirmatively, life is better abroad, and I stand on that. So as people are
Yeah.
like making their decisions based on who wins the election or whatever, I'm like, good luck. I don't. I mean, like, regardless, it's like you know, you
Yeah.
still the fundamental things that are wrong are not going to change through the presidency. Just I just want to state that
Absolutely. And you know, I've said it to you privately,
they're
and
going to make
I'm
sure I
gonna
vote,
say
of
it.
course. But I'm just saying I'm not
Yes.
about because we have responsibilities, you know. Still, we have
Absolutely. That
responsibilities.
doesn't
No,
change,
no, that
you
doesn't.
know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Still voting.
And
I'm just saying we need to be.
definitely it is a lot of people in the comments, and I've expressed it to you privately and we'll share it publicly, you know, that very sorry for the passing of your sister. And you know, a lot of people echo that in the chat. And I think one of the
So,
things that you said before was like, you've been here, you know, here being abroad for such a period of time that you've had like life happen,
mm-hmm,
and you still stayed committed
mm-hmm,
to this choice. And a lot of people, and I say a lot because you know we've been at this for a number of years, will say, oh well, I have an elderly parent, or what if
mm-hmm,
this person, you know, wins the election or whatever, and put all these conditions. And it's
yep,
like, to me, I know this might be triggering for some, but to
mm-hmm,
me,
mm-hmm,
it sounds like you don't trust yourself.
mm-hmm,
And I
mm-hmm.
can understand that because I struggled with that.
Yeah,
And you're growing up in a society that doesn't reinforce that
mm-hmm,
you should have agency or the ability to trust yourself, because again, it goes back to what we said earlier about, you know, oh well, you know, Trump's a racist, but he's on NABJ talking about, oh, you know,
it's,
when he's confronted with the truth about how he's been racist to black people, it's like, oh no, I'm gonna turn it on you. And like,
yeah,
you're,
deflect.
yeah, and all of
Narcissistic
this. And
behavior. But
so
we
of
giving him
course,
a platform, which I don't understand why we keep doing this to ourselves.
exactly
It's
that
mind boggling
part.
to me.
And I'm like, of course you second guess yourself, because you're constantly getting conflicting messages. You're not being affirmed. You know, there were people that are celebrating Simone Biles, but you know,
Mm-hmm.
4 years earlier, who were calling her a coward for backing
Mm-hmm.
out when she had the
Taking care of
twisties.
herself and choosing also like she chose herself when she needed her moment of rest, you
Yeah.
know? It's
Yeah.
like
And yeah, that should be that should be celebrated, right? The fact that she took the path and was brave enough to make a
mhm,
decision publicly at the pinnacle, right, of her career.
choose
And
herself.
who knows if we're going to see her in an Olympics in 4 years, right? She's 27. She's the oldest
Mhm,
decorated Olympic gymnast. Yes, she's the most decorated, but she's also the oldest. Most of them retire
mhm,
before the age of 27. So
mhm,
you may not see her in the Olympics in 4 years.
mhm,
And even when I think about the Obamas, and you know, I've had, you know, look, I'm equal opportunity in terms of my criticism,
mhm,
you know, but at the same time, if I look at Michelle Obama when she was first lady, and Michelle Obama today,
mhm.
Michelle wasn't rocking them braids and cornrows and natural hair when she was in
Yeah,
that White House.
I could understand why not either. It's just like because then her hair becomes a topic of discussion instead of like real shit. I mean, real things that
Exactly. No, no, you girls.
you know.
Look, I'm drinking.
Well, I realized I was like, I'm not drinking enough water today because
Okay. Because I'd call it vodka, but
no, no, it's water. It's water.
no,
No,
I know it
because
is.
guess what? So lately, I've been like, okay, Charlene. I was like, I think. Oh, my full name is Charlene. I know you're like, who is she talking to?
Yeah, I
I was like, you need to
know.
chill. I was like, you know what? First of all, I don't drink a lot. Okay, I don't. But I was like, I think I want to stop drinking because the more
Mm.
I'm interacting with people who look fantastic and look great and just are full of life, they don't drink, and I'm like, that might be one of the things that's slowing me down. Because I was like, maybe I need to stop, even socially, like just drinking. But then it's so hard because when you go to all these events and I can't turn down the sangria on the beach.
And we're in a country that has great
They
wine.
have great wine
Like,
too.
if I was going to abstain, I needed to do that in America with the expensive ass wine that, like,
Here.
but when
Yeah,
you could get a good bottle of wine for like €2,
yeah.
baby,
I know it's crazy because I am like one of the things
it's
I've been trying
hard.
to work on is eating better and also like just treating my body better,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, since you won't take yourself to the gym, I will do my little nightly walks or whatever, but like you want to take yourself to the gym, then eat better and drink better. Like
Hmm.
fuel your body with more. I always have my water with me. Everybody knows that. But
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
saying maybe like I am gonna probably try to cut out at some point alcohol after my 40.
Look, I feel like, on this journey, and we're experiencing all the things, and I've said it before in this channel, like, to me, right, living this life is finally, and I don't pay attention enough, right, to where it's like, I don't know if we're up to 4K, 8K, I don't even know. But that's what it feels like. Like, my focus is sharper.
Mm-hmm.
I stay more present than I ever have. No ruminating about the past, no projecting into the future and time, warping. And it's this air and this soft life, like,
Mm-hmm.
being able to have massages in the house, or rent a yacht, to have a birthday party, or buy out restaurants and have,
Mm-hmm.
experiences for people, like, those things, even with my, over $200,000 salary at that time, I
Yes.
couldn't do all that in America.
It's crazy. Even with making more money, you weren't able to do it. Like it's so wild.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's because about disposable income also. I think so. As anyone, because
Yes.
one of the things I do want to do on this chat, and I hope we have time for it, is like actually be helpful to people. Like, okay, what questions do you all have? What are y'all curious about? And like, what information and insight can we give you all that is helpful for anyone who feels stuck or who just needs some advice or looking for some insight? But like disposable income matters. So like, yes, it's
Mm-hmm.
great to be making a lot of money, but if your expenses are like knocking on the door of you're right there neck and neck, then how relevant is it that you make that much money, right?
Yeah.
Put
Yeah.
it in context, right? Like look at your expenses versus your income. Keep it in context, okay? So like, yeah, it's great to have a whatever salary, but your disposable income really does matter and can increase your quality of life more than you having a higher income. Just having a high
Mm-hmm.
income, right? And kind of ignoring like, oh, with the higher income kind of does come me having higher expenses sometimes. The bigger
Oh
house,
yeah.
the more expensive car, the more expensive clothes, the more expensive just everything, just lifestyle. Even just moving to a better neighborhood can be significantly increase the cost because you got taxes and other things, even like the things your children are in and associated with. And I'm getting a
Mm-hmm.
lot of insight into that right now, with my niece and nephew. I'm like, oh my gosh,
Mm-hmm.
how was my sister managing all of this,
Wow.
because even like with her living in a nicer, so my niece and nephew live in a much nicer neighborhood than we grew up in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, man, just the cost of being in this more expensive neighborhood socially, what the kids like to do, the type of activities and sports they do, what those costs are for those sports. You know what I mean? Going to
Mm-hmm.
a school where, the average person, family makes a lot of money. And so like things just become more expensive. So yeah, anyways, my whole point of this is like it's great to put your children in a nicer neighborhood, move to a better, whatever, but just understand the cost implication of that
Mm-hmm.
um, on some things that might actually be limiting you, keeping you stuck.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
even something that you had said earlier, like, especially around, just juggling all the things, having all the balls in the air, right? You have
Yeah.
anxiety about money, costs
Yeah.
keep going up. You have your children and things like that. And the thing that I keep coming back to is like, well, if they're taking away our, access to books and book banning. If they have Project 2025, they have all of these things that are happening in present day, and it's overwhelming for the adults.
Yeah.
What do you
We
think
need
it's
children.
happening to a child and how they're
Mhm.
processing it, or are they processing?
Are they even
And,
able to
like you
process?
said, soft lockdown, hard lockdown, all these other things. Like, there's so much that
Mm.
I can't even imagine having, growing up in present day. I'm so glad I grew up when I did,
Me too.
because it's a lot. And for those that are sitting there and they're thinking like, oh, well, I can't because I have a 5-year old or whatever it is. And I'm not saying like
It is
this
hard.
is like blanket. Everybody has circumstances. I
Yeah.
had to wait until my daughter turned 18, right? That part I get. What
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying is that sometimes we create these false conditions,
Mm-hmm.
and almost everything is figure outable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I say, like, we have an opportunity to change the trajectory not only of our lives but of future generations. And that's why I continue to see, and I'm excited when I see people and I go out in the community and it's, senior women. Actually, I just had a
Mm-hmm.
coaching call with a woman the other day who's in her 70s, and she messaged me before I went live, and she's here.
Oh, I
And,
know.
it's wonderful, right? And I'm
To
seeing all
share.
the way to the young people in their 20s. Actually,
Yeah.
my good friend
So
whose
much younger.
daughter was here. Well, they were on the yacht for my birthday party, right? Her daughter
Lovely
moved here
family.
with her husband. They're in their 20s. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's, you just see this full spectrum, and
Mm-hmm.
it is exciting. And so, like you said, like, I want to make this as interactive as possible for those of you who are on the fence or have your questions. Definitely put them in the comments, because our goal as two people who have, communities and platforms, they exist because people come to us and they know, like, we're trusted. They know that
Yeah.
they're going to get, served and serviced in the right way. And so want to make sure that, you feel that you have a way forward, not just a way out.
Yeah. And for anyone who is in that space where you do have children, that's another thing where again I lean on community and surrounding yourself with the people who have done it, who have a similar, like they have children, right? Because like I won't be able to give a perspective about how to move abroad with children because I haven't had to deal with that. I don't have any children, but there are plenty of people in our community who have done it, and they have done it with more than one child. There are plenty of people who have moved abroad with sick parents, not with their sick parents, sorry, having a sick parent that is back stateside. I was one of them. And my dad actually ended up passing away when I was stateside, not, because I moved abroad while he was not well. And, we had to put him in a nursing home rehab center because neither
Wow.
me or my sister are health professionals. I wouldn't know how to take care of him. So like me physically being there wouldn't have changed the outcome of his health because I don't know what to do. And then when I moved back is actually when he passed away because I moved back before I moved abroad again. So, but if I had waited to move abroad until after like whatever, who knows what experience I would have missed out on and everything, and like I just I know it sounds cold hearted to people to be like, oh, I would never leave my parent or whatever, and things like that. But I'm like, if you're not a healthcare professional and you don't know how to like administer help and all that stuff, I'm not trying to be rude or be a jerk, but like what are you going to do to
Yeah.
save their life if they have a medical emergency? And I know that seems very like, no, you're just trying to make it black and white. I'm like, no, I'm actually like practical, speaking from a practical perspective. Like if something ever happened with my dad, either way, he needed to be under like professional medical care. I do not have the skill set to save his life. So like, what are you going to do? It's a real question you should ask yourself. I mean, I know it seems a little bit like you're not being practical. I'm like, no, like really practically speaking, like, so like you're limiting yourself for a scenario where your physical presence may not save that person's life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Or
it's
that
just
person doesn't even want to, right? Like at the
yeah.
end of the day, unless they've been deemed
Hmm.
mentally incompetent, you
Hmm.
know, the parent can decide, like my mom, I would love for her, maybe not to come
I
live
would
with me,
love for
but
my mother
to
to
get out.
yeah.
And at the end of the day,
Mhm.
she's an adult, right? Like, and so you have to respect where they are.
Yeah, their decision.
And to your point, like that's it, it may be something that you are equipped for or you aren't equipped for.
Hmm.
um, but it's important to at least have the conversations around what does this look like I had a coaching call with a client earlier this week, and they've been talking about different scenarios and things like that. So we were working through it, and it was like, okay, well, and have children. And I said, well, what would it look like if you involve them in the process?
Hmm.
Right? Like, especially when you get to a certain age,
Hmm.
it can be more challenging. But what I found to be true, at least especially with Maya, my youngest, was involving her in it. Like, okay, you're going to be at school. What do you need from me? Like,
Yeah.
you're going to be there. What do I need from you? And so we're constantly like texting throughout the day, right? Like, and, and, obviously I miss her. She misses me, but that
Mhm.
communication thread, but that's what we agreed to. And then we also worked through that in therapy. And so she feels invested in this and respects my decision as much as I respect hers for going to school there, because I involved her in the process and we co created the solution. And
Yes.
so, sometimes people say, oh, well, my kid's this age, I can't touch it there. It's like, you can or you can't, but like it goes back to what I said about things being figure outable. You can create a solution.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just means you have to open the aperture or get coaching to help
Mhm.
you see something that you just maybe not be able to see because it's in the periphery.
Yep. And like I'll give a very good example. When my sister, and I keep talking about it because it's just so real for me right now. It's like when she passed
Mm-hmm.
away, obviously I had to make a decision. Like, am I gonna move back to support my niece, nephew, mom, grandma, or am I going to live abroad and support them, you know what I mean, in the best way I can, being that I'm abroad? And I had a conversation with my niece and explained to her, because like even if I lived in the States, but like I would never be living in Michigan. Like, you get what I
Mm-hmm.
guess, my family's from
Mm-hmm.
Michigan. So
Yeah.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, whether I'm in Atlanta or whether I'm in Chicago or whether I'm in, Lisbon, I'm not physically here with you all anyway.
Yeah.
So like the compromise is I go home more often than maybe the average person who lives abroad,
Yeah.
right? I am there for every birthday and I am there for major holidays. And I
Mm-hmm.
never miss my mother's birthday. Like, I'm always, no matter, even during
Aw.
COVID, I found a way. And I lockdown, I found a way to be there for my mother's birthday. I never
Yeah.
miss my mother's birthday. And so for me, that is the compromise.
Mm-hmm.
And even, like it was really difficult, like hearing my niece, like, you're the closest thing to my mom, like, like, so meaning like it's
Mm.
hard if I leave. And I explained to her that for my longevity and for my mental health and well-being, I cannot live in the US.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
said the option is either a healthy and alive me, but living
Yeah.
abroad, or
Mm-hmm.
a toxic, unhealthy, whatever version of myself in the US. And not to be rude, but I do think living in the US shortens your life. So like,
Oh, agreed.
how good am I if I'm not here? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a very relevant data point, which was my sister, right, to
Mm-hmm.
reference. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, it's like I'm choosing myself and to be alive, even
Yeah.
if I'm loving you all and supporting you all from a distance. But that's just, it's hard decisions, you all. Like, I know this sounds so like, it's not that, just, black and white or whatever. I'm like, no, but it's just, you have to make hard decisions. And
Mm-hmm.
there is a part of this journey that like no one can write it out for you.
Yeah.
You have to have a very clear like value system,
Mm-hmm.
right? And make your decisions based off of that, ignoring all the external pressures and expectations sometimes in order to make the decision. Because if you are constantly allowing external pressure to influence or dictate your life, you're going to be all over the place because
Yeah.
everyone's going to want you in a different direction, right?
Mm-hmm.
To their own benefit. So
Yes.
sometimes you really do have to make those hard decisions that may feel unfair to other people, but people who
Mm-hmm.
really love you will understand. And my
Yeah.
family's been extremely understanding and supportive. So like I know not everyone has that,
Mm-hmm.
but they also know that I'm going to do what I want to do regardless what anyone
Yeah.
else does.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
respect yourself enough to do things that protect you and keep you alive and keep you healthy and that create a better quality of life for yourself, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And part of that, I think, too, because some people, depending on where they are in the spectrum, either have healthy self-esteem and emotional supports, and on the other side there's some people who don't have that and they have like loose relationships. And if you find yourself on that other side, like what can you start to do? Maybe it's doing some self-care, some journaling, some getting
Therapy.
in therapy, getting in
I don't
community, like
yeah.
build the pieces of you that are you know, not broken, but need attention.
Yeah.
And, I read this quote and I'm probably going to misquote it, but it was saying like, because nobody picks the family that they're born into. And, many of us, I mean, some do, right? Many of us don't pick the family that we're born into.
Mhm.
And, but you have an opportunity once you become an adult to
Yeah.
to fix the things that, oh well, I didn't get enough of this. Well, you can create those things for yourself. You can make it your point to heal those places.
Yeah.
And when I came to this like conclusion upon reflection, mostly during COVID when I had downtime,
Hmm.
to start to reflect on some points where I was seeing patterns from the past and things like that. And I was like, wait a minute, like I don't need to keep replaying these same scenarios. Like,
Hmm.
what do I need to do differently to address this issue, to heal this part of myself that clearly is having a hard time? Because what
Hmm.
I didn't want to do is to bring that version of me into this life,
You
because
do
I
not want to
knew
carry that
that that
baggage.
person couldn't do this dope shit. Right?
Yeah, it's
You
you
know what I
actually brought
mean?
up a good point about the technically like the unlearning of certain things and kind of like
Mm-hmm.
you have to allow yourself to grow and it's super uncomfortable. I was a play it safe girly. And what I mean by that
Wow.
was I was never putting myself in situations where like I was taking risks that could um really be like detrimental if they went wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But I started to have a lot of faith in myself, like more faith in myself that like no matter how this turns out, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have faith that like I'll be okay. Like I just have
Yeah.
this unyielding faith in myself. So like to give you an example, leaving corporate America and like I was like, oh my gosh, I may never ever make that money again. And like it's
Mm-hmm.
funny because my hourly rate, because again I said I only work half the week. My hourly rate is more than what it was at Deloitte. You get what I mean? Like which is crazy, right?
Wow.
Because I do consulting, advisory services on the side. So
Mm-hmm.
not on the side, that is what I do on the side. But my whole point is like, like yes, I make half, but I also work half. You get what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
You get what I mean? Like, if I wanted to, I could work 40 hours and I'd be making more than what
Yeah.
I was making at Deloitte,
Mm-hmm.
right? So my whole point is like that fear I had of like, oh my gosh, what if I never ever make this amount again? Or the other fear I had when I was trying to get my home out here, I was like, oh my gosh, because it was going to be tight financially, like to get the house,
Mm.
or whatever, right? And I'm like, am I making a bad decision? What if I'm not able to pay the tax? And just not stupid stuff. It's actually realistic stuff. And everything worked out. Like I had a fight for this house, fight for my life for this house.
I know.
We had to tussle. The ancestors were on my side. Thank
Yes,
very,
always
very
guided,
grateful for
guarded, and protected
that.
always.
Guided, protected by the highest of the high. Okay, highest of the
Mm-hmm.
high. But my whole point is like sometimes there's a temporary sacrifice that has to be made,
Yeah.
temporary level of uncomfortableness, like just being uncomfortable, whatever, in order for you to really like position yourself for some long-term benefits. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just hard. Some of it is just hard. There is no like shortcut around it, and you just got to buckle up. Like,
Yeah.
and surround yourself with good people. Like I said, that part is so key. Like the
Mm-hmm.
people who are, you won't always have people cheering you on, but you need community in some aspect. I think maybe not everyone. I needed community. It was just
Same.
an essential part for me. Like, just knowing like that I'm not in this alone. I'm not the first person to have a parent at home who's not well. I'm not the first
Mm-hmm.
person to deal with the loss. I'm not the first person to have troubles buying a house. Like, like you get what I mean. Just being in community, it
Mm-hmm.
alleviates the heaviness of the burden. Like the burden is still there, but maybe you don't feel as heavy because you're like, okay, I'm going to make it through. Because there are people who you can look to who are on the other side of things, right? So it's
Absolutely.
very tangible. It's realistic for you can see it. Like, okay, there are people who are on the other side of this, right? And it
Mm-hmm.
does get better. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those of you who have listened to Shar's episode on the Blaxit Global podcast and or
Mhm.
watched her last year on the Move to Portugal Virtual Summit, uh, and you're probably like, wait, what is she talking about? Shar has bought a house in
Really?
Portugal since her last episode
Yeah.
and got Jamaican citizenship.
Oh yeah. So I have right now dual citizenship. My parents are Jamaican, both. I'm actually the only one in my family like that's not born in Jamaica, so I am the outcast.
But she
But
still got that passport.
yeah, 'cause I was like, and you can have dual, for anyone, it's called citizenship by descent. So if you have parents or grandparents who are from certain countries, you are allowed to apply for citizenship by descent through your parents or grandparents. There are a few countries that even go as far back to grand great grandparents. I
Mm-hmm.
don't have the list. You can Google this, but it's something to look into because what it does is it gives you some flexibility and it opens up the realm of possibilities for you. So with this Jamaican passport, it's a part of CARICOM, the Caribbean community. So like I can go work visa free or live visa free in like 20 other countries in the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
I even can go to Ghana visa free. Mind you, as a US citizen, I gotta pay. Cuba, I can go to Cuba. It's just certain places, Namibia. It's just certain places where you have more people like wow, a Jamaican passport isn't stronger than a US passport, but it gives me options that the US passport doesn't. So
Mm-hmm.
just something to think about. I know the US passport is like the eighth strongest in the world or whatever. I believe Singapore is the strongest. I don't it changes all the time, but
Yeah, yeah.
something to look into, you all. And the application fee, I mean, I got all of this. I got citizenship and my passport because you got to just because you get citizenship, you just got to apply for a passport. It was less than 300 US dollars.
Wow.
So just to think to get, and you don't, and it's not like the US where you have to, it's not like the US where you have to still pay taxes and all that stuff. Like,
Mm-hmm.
unless okay. Oh gosh. In the US, no matter where you go, you always have to file your taxes. You may not
Yes.
owe, but you always have to file. Okay. They want to keep track of every dollar
Mm-hmm.
you pay. Other countries are not like that. Unless you are making money in that country, you don't have to go through the tax filing
Yeah.
process. So because
Mm-hmm.
even though I have this passport, people are like, oh, what about the tax? I'm like, I don't work in Jamaica. So I don't have
Yeah.
to go pay taxes in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
Now, am I eligible to go pull something like Social Security benefits when I get of age? Probably not, because I didn't feed into the system for a certain amount of years,
Mm-hmm.
right? But if I do, like I said, I'm going to be 40. Like I still have time if I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you have
Yeah.
options. But just give yourself some options. Even if you are. Oh, someone said, "Are you going for Portuguese citizenship?" Yeah. I mean, that's
Yeah.
yeah.
Me too.
Like, I love it here. Like, this is so for the record, this is home. Like, I'm not going
Yes,
anywhere. I love
exactly.
it here. I mean, like, I could literally see myself. Like, I've never felt this way about a country. Actually, like, I could see. Look at me
Wow.
falling in love. I could see myself. No, literally, I could see myself living here for the rest of my life. There
Mm-hmm.
is a level of ease, comfort. I feel good here. Like I just feel good. It's a beautiful country. They have a strong
Mm-hmm.
infrastructure. They're on a strong currency. I
Mm-hmm.
have access to strong like the things I need. So like, food and good housing, healthcare. I don't know anything about their education system, but I also don't have children. So for me, that's like
Mm-hmm.
not a point that's going to sway me either way. But the people here, like the actual people here as a whole, locals and expat community, to
Mm-hmm.
me are like they have a respect for humanity, like a basic
Yes.
level of respect, right? So when you're online and I'm seeing all these stories about like just the wild, wild west shootouts and just stuff happening abroad, like back home country, I'm like, thank God I don't have to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I go to concerts and stuff with like thousands, tens of thousands of people, and I don't even worry about
Nope,
like
not
anything
a
bad
thing.
happening. No, you're not saying this is perfect. Like, you obviously
Yeah.
things do happen, right? But I'm just saying, like, for the most part, like it's just a very different level of existence. I can be present.
Yes.
I can be a lot more present. So yeah, this is home, and I cannot wait till the day that I am a Portuguese citizen because yeah, this is home. So I'm here. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, we're gonna go over into the questions. I
I'm
think
trying to keep track of doing a horrible job, so I'm
yeah,
sure.
no. I'm starring some of this. So some of them are comments too.
Mhm.
Finding Alum. Hey, Alum. Community
Okay.
is a common thread for from all of us who have left.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I mean,
very
it
common
was.
thread. And you are the community has wrapped themselves around me in the most beautiful way. Like, so it's not just like when things are going well. I've had surgery abroad, and again, community, like the way people stepped up. I'm talking about people who I'd never met. Like, oh, do you need us to come clean your house for you? What?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
no one in the U.S. would ever do that. I mean, that I,
Mm-hmm.
sorry, I shouldn't say that. I had not experienced anything like that in the U.S. So, like, to be here with people who I just met and they're like realizing that I needed support, I just thought it was a really beautiful thing. When
Mm-hmm.
I find my house, again, community, right? They're not only the
Yeah.
ones who link me with the right realtors, with the right lawyers, but also like just well wishes. Like, things got tough,
Yeah.
right? And I was
Yeah.
fighting a good fight. Okay.
Mm-mm,
Threatening to
girl.
pull up, my Portuguese friends were like, do we need to pull up? Like, do we
you
need
know,
um,
mm,
and even and then obviously, dealing with the loss of my sister, the way people
mm,
surrounded me in the most beautiful way. Like, I mean, like the community is like a big thing, and I can't
mm-hmm,
state it enough how it's to me a key part of having a successful move abroad. If
absolutely.
there's a way to be successful moving abroad, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
I think it is. Frederica said yes. The Black
it
Expat Community Portrait is
is,
fun.
and
It
we have
is.
so many men. There's so many. There's just so many. We have Zillennials in Portugal. We have some
Mm-hmm.
Krishan's community. Expat, is just online. But I'm just saying, like, we're here. You know what I mean? Like, you have people from all over. So yeah, we have a lot to support.
Mm-hmm. And Vaughn and
It's
Jay
a
said the hardest
whole nother ball
decision.
game, though. Hey, Bonnie
Yeah.
J. I mean,
Hey.
online.
Oh, okay. Hey.
Yeah,
Like,
I said one thing. Like, I would say, like, speak to people who actually have children who are abroad because I don't want to give advice on that topic because I don't know.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, I have two children, and I realized today in the elevator, I'm like, this year is flying by because both their birthdays are next month. They're
Oh
both
wow.
September babies,
Uh-huh.
so it's like Miles is gonna be 24 and Maya's gonna be 19, and I said, hey, where did that time go? Because it feels like just yesterday I brought them into the world, but B, it's like they're both in America, right? Like it wasn't an easy thing
Yeah.
to, come to grips with, but thankfully I had the time to kind of think through scenarios and also to have, like I said earlier, have those conversations. And it's not to say that I'm trying to, sway you one way or another. It's just to say, just offer some advice is, instead of us, a lot of times as Black women, we feel we have to be the strong person, the problem solver, to take the weight of it all. Strength comes from sharing the load, to
Mhm.
expressing your feelings, and getting support when you need it. And so, what does that look like when you involve your child and say, hey, you know what? Maybe it's coming back for the major holidays and birthdays and milestones. Maybe it's having, like my daughter and I, like constant contact, right?
Mhm.
So it's not going to say it makes it 100% easier,
Yeah.
but it can allow you to live your life. And what does that look like when you can show your children your
Mhm.
fullest version of yourself and
Yeah.
not a smaller version that you've had to contort to in order to just exist and
Five.
survive?
Yep.
So I just offer that. Um, Nichelle,
Oh, I
uh,
lived in. I'm from like I grew up and raised Detroit until I was like around 10, and then the suburbs until high school. So yeah, suburbs slash Detroit, whichever, in Michigan. Yeah.
And then Emery as how do you
Oh, that's
find
a
a
really great
reliable job?
question. So one of the things that I think a lot of people don't realize is so I do like it's like contracts, right? So through my
Mm-hmm.
company, I find clients who and offer advisory services to them or consultant work, right? Pretty much any skill that you already have, you can not every skill, but most skills, you do it as like a consultant. The reason in the US you don't see it as much is because of healthcare, right?
Mm.
Healthcare is tied to your job. So most people won't go into consulting or being a contractor or advisory services because they would never be able, not never, it's really hard to manage the healthcare costs. But that's one thing that living abroad opens up for you is because healthcare costs are reasonable. I have private healthcare out here, and I have like when I say top tier, like no deductible, no copay. So after I pay my premium, that's it. Even if I have surgery, I don't pay an additional money. And that's two around actually it's under 200 US a month. But
Oh
that's for
wow.
no deductible, no copay. And at one point I was paying 100. They did up it or whatever. But so I say that to say like if you have a skill set that you can do remotely, um don't be afraid to, like I say, you get an EIN number, right? You
Mm-hmm.
don't want to be throwing around your social security number. Get an EIN number, an employee identification, it's employee identification number, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you can start contracting as a 1099 contractor. So, um, but if you don't have a transferable skill set, then I think you may need to find what I call a transition job abroad, just to you can get over, right?
Yep.
And sometimes the easiest pathways for things like that are going to be teaching, and most, a lot of them will let you even do like teaching as a foreign language. So they're called TEFL courses, TEFL. Some people, they go through the government, actually get abroad. Okay. So whatever it is that you're doing, let's say you're a great cook, they need cooks abroad. Let's say you are a gym teacher, they need gym teachers abroad at these schools that they have through, for the government consulates and all that stuff. So like, don't limit yourself and just assume, actually do the research and try to figure out like what makes sense for you. The other thing is if you do work for a corporate company or a big, like a larger company, they have offices abroad. So the first time I moved abroad was with a company consulting firm, and I moved abroad to their consulting office in London. But I had to apply internally, search for it internally, interview, like go through
Mm-hmm.
the full job search process as if I did not have a job. So it does require some research on your end. And then another avenue that people don't think about, but that may allow you to transition and get over and get on the ground is school, like education. So maybe
Yeah.
you want to get an undergraduate degree, a master's degree, a PhD. They even have postdoc opportunities abroad. So there's different ways. And then sometimes people do things like they're not making money, but they're able to reduce their cost through house sitting,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they house sit because it's like, okay, I just need to get a feel. I need to get on the ground, right? And make some connections, and then maybe then try to find a job. But because the U.S. dollar, how do I say this? Geo arbitrage is pretty much the act of like making money in one place but spending it somewhere else, where
Yeah.
your dollar goes further or your money goes further. So that's what a lot of people do. So my contracts are all US based, except for like every now and then I'll pick up a contract for a client in Europe, but the reality is the US clients pay more for the type of work that I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's all great advice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Um, Howard Worldview. Yeah, even when you move to a
Oh.
so-called safe neighborhood, yeah, that's
Mhm.
how I felt. I felt like
Mhm.
I was in jail. I
Mhm.
didn't, especially my
That's
last
that,
place.
that yes. Especially when you have neighbors who don't really want you to be over there, which means that any little thing your children do or whatever, they're constantly
Mm-hmm.
harassing your children or making them feel unwell
Mm-hmm.
or making them feel unsafe.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand your quote. That is a different type of jail. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you
Like
don't feel
under the white gaze, everything you do is
safe.
suspect. Do you belong
Yeah.
here? You taking
Mhm.
out your garbage? What's in there?
Mhm.
People that have bought houses in neighborhoods and they're just like, oh, but what are you doing here? Why are you driving this car?
Yeah, you
Like
here.
all of that. Here, I live in this beautiful apartment and
Beautiful part.
don't
Yeah.
nobody ask me like,
Mhm. How?
oh, how'd you get here? Would you? They're like, oh, bom dia, boa tarde, tudo bem? See,
Yeah.
like, ain't
Mhm,
nobody up in my business.
mhm. But you know Bailey to start the show. Bailey attract
Yes, Bailey is the star of the show. Because they
Bailey.
don't know my name, but they know her name.
The Bailey's name.
It's a
Yeah.
lot easier to pronounce.
Mhm.
But yeah, they're great with her, and
Yeah.
it's just it's a different level of ease. I go to sleep and I sleep, right? Like I'm not anxious about money. I'm not anxious about a lot of things. Even like I said, like moments before we went live, right? With that whole thing with the credit card. If I was in the States, I'd be like,
Yeah. You know you're
I
gonna
was
be
just
okay.
like, oh, I'll deal with that later. Like,
Yeah.
it's like the
Yeah.
things that used to get me rattled, very few things can rattle me,
Mhm.
and it feels good, and it feels
Mhm.
good to have freedom of time,
Yeah.
freedom of space, to have real connections, like the 3-hour lunches, the 4-hour dinners,
They will not
like
bring you your check here. Okay.
no,
Not kick you out. They
no.
will literally sit here. It's so wild. Whereas in the US, it's so rushed. And before you even finish and order your dessert, they slapping the receipt on the table. And then they're like, oh, take your time. I'm like, really?
They give you the plate and the bill at the same time.
Nice. Like my food, can it cool off?
Yes, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And Mark Andrew,
Oh
we have
yes.
a relative in common, right? Mark Andrew. Uh, he left it in 2003. I was actually talking to your sister, like I think it was last week, and I said I gotta go visit and look you up when I go. But yeah, he left in 2003. He was like, bye.
Life improved tremendously.
Yeah,
It has.
yeah.
It definitely has. Yeah.
Yes. And oh, so Jess asked, "Are you a Capricorn?"
Close. My sister was a Capricorn. I am a Sagittarius, tried and true, down to the bone. I love my freedom. I do not like being bothered, and I speak very, I guess you can call it bluntly.
mm,
Yeah,
you asked, you answered about
Lord.
citizenship, and Alt said, "I'm planning to move abroad this month. Yay!" But yes, I understand the being racked with guilt. I get it. I get it.
Yeah,
Hoping to convince my mom to come with me somewhere we can better afford. Wow.
it's sometimes by
Yeah.
you making that move, it actually may encourage other family members. I actually have an aunt, uncle who are moving here, and like I would love for my mom and stepdad and eventually niece and nephew when they're of age, to be here.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, yes, you're gonna feel the guilt like 100%.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna sit here and lie to you all, like especially when certain things happen, and I do feel like I wonder if that would have happened if I would have been there, but you don't know. You
Mm.
don't know. So yeah. Um,
Yeah.
I guess the best advice in this situation is, like people who really love you will want the best for you. And what that may mean is what's best for you may not be what's best for them.
Yeah.
And that's just a really hard reality to live with.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you get what I mean? But it's just a hard decision. I don't have any. It's just a hard decision, and there is
Mm-hmm.
guilt. Just have a good therapist, 'cause that's what I have, a good therapist. A really good
Yeah.
therapist. Yeah,
That
she's
makes all the difference,
yeah, she's very helpful, and like those feelings of guilt, I talk through with her.
Mm-hmm.
And she does give me coping mechanisms as well. So,
That's
like, yeah.
really helpful. You can't um, underestimate the power of therapy and preserving your mental health,
Mhm.
um, and whether that's having a therapist and taking baths, long walks, whatever it is, connecting with nature, you
Being
know
outside, getting
being
some sun in your
outside.
face, it makes a big difference. Waking up every day, little stuff like as I'm going through the grieving process, I make sure I wake up every day. Make not I make sure I wake up when I wake up every day. I do like gratitudes. I also like make my bed, take a shower, go
Mm-hmm.
outside, get the sun on my face. Some days I may just go out on the veranda and just get the sun on my face there if I don't feel
Mm-hmm.
like walking. Sometimes it's really hot here, that's why I walk at night. But like just you have to take care of yourself.
Yes.
Because there are parts of the living abroad experience, I know we haven't talked about this yet, but like that are lonely. There are parts of it that are
Hmm.
lonely. So you do have to be prepared for that as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. Like the major holidays are
It
around the
could be hard
corner.
for some people,
And
yeah.
Bridget, Southern Gal in Portugal,
Yeah.
posted her Thanksgiving menu, and I remember last year, and it was shortly after I arrived, but I don't think I knew her at that point, or I had seen it too late, and she was sold out, and I was like, oh. And then I saw it today. I was like, ain't gonna catch me slipping. Ain't gonna catch me slipping.
I
But
just
it's that, right? Like I was like, okay, I'm gonna be here because I personally, and this is me and of one,
mhm,
I personally have chosen, and I expressed to my family that as much as I do want to go back home for the Thanksgiving holidays, because that was always a big thing on my dad's side of the family,
mhm,
because of the level of instability that I feel with respect to the United States and however that outcome of the election will be.
mhm,
I don't feel comfortable going back until well after inauguration. And
mhm,
so that's a decision that I have made for myself, right? And so that means that I will be spending the holidays, away. And so what does that look like? Does it look like I'm spending maybe Thanksgiving here? Do I go to, Switzerland for Christmas? I don't know, but I get to
choose.
choose those things, right? And
Yeah.
how amazing is that? Like after Nomad Noir, I'm planning on my vacation. I'm like, well, do I go to Montenegro? Do I go to Croatia? Like, I'm like,
So
I
many
these are
questions.
things that were not in my vocabulary a year ago.
And you know what, Krishan, you're bringing up such a good point. One thing that has been unlocked here is travel is more affordable.
Yes. Woo,
And when
child.
like I'm planning my 40th birthday, and I like to use points when I'm going far. So I'm like, it's my 40th. I want to be comfortable. So like when I'm flying back and forth to the States, I fly economy, whatever, it's like 7 to 8 hour flight. But I'm like, I'm trying to go to Asia, and I'm like, that's a long flight.
Mm-hmm.
Business class tickets through points for 80K points. And you have to understand, like in the US, you might pay like 70 something points just to go, in the US. And I'm like, so over here, I'm unlocking like the ability to go to a whole new continent, fly for
Exactly.
12 plus hours in their business class. And it's like, these are the type of things like when I say it gets better, it's like it just life is just easier because it's
Mm-hmm.
more affordable, and it makes a big difference. So it's the little big things like that may seem like something small to some people, but to me, I'm like, bet if nothing else,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be comfortable for my birthday. You get what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
And it just made me
Yeah.
more excited about the trip, and it made it more affordable. So now I can go other places while I'm over there.
Yes.
So like these are like again the little big things. Like you don't even understand the way that the high cost of living is holding you back from other enjoyable things in life because it's not even an option for you right over
Yeah.
there. So
Yeah. It's
yeah.
cost prohibitive in so many ways. And it was funny this morning, I was messaging with Victoria in Italy, and she was, it was like right when I got up, she'll usually hit me up. And so it was like 7 in the morning. I haven't even got out of bed. We're messaging back and forth. And she shows me the airfare at Wizz, because I guess Wizz is
I like
flying
this.
now out
Yeah,
of
budget.
Lisbon.
Uh-huh.
So from Rome to Croatia was 24 euro one way.
Yo, listen,
I was
listen.
like,
You
24
book the ticket, even if you just like
whole dollars or whole euro? Like,
yeah. Listen, you have to book it. You have to book Kashan. You have to.
I was like, and meanwhile, when I flew from New Jersey to, or no, when I flew from
Mhm.
here to Florida, it was some ridiculous amount, like $1,300. And then when I flew from Jersey to Florida with my daughter to see my mom, it was like 1,300, and it's still on the same coast, New
It's
Jersey to Florida. It wasn't like I went from New Jersey to California. I'm like,
mhm. Guess what?
it's
It's
crazy.
yeah, I had a client meeting once, stateside, and the flight from Lisbon to the client site was actually cheaper than from my home base, which is Detroit.
Wow.
You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, all in economy, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like that don't even make
And
any sense.
depending on the plane economy, I mean, I flew economy to Italy in December, and round trip it was 70 euro,
Mm-hmm.
and this was December, mid
Yeah, yeah,
December.
yeah. So
So it's like
yes,
it's amazing. Or even flight to Morocco isn't that long.
man, they have deals to Morocco all the time. That's actually how I first visited Portugal was through a deal that I think it might have been Royal Morocco had, where you had like a couple days late stopover or something like some
Oh
little.
wow.
Yeah, that was like 2017, but it was so cool because I was like, we got round trip tickets. We went for my best friend's birthday. We got round trip tickets for like all I know is I can't remember the exact amount. I just know it was cheap. Like when I say affordable, like really affordable, and like it was like 8 or 9 of us. Like, you know what I mean? Like that many of us being able to fly
Wow.
internationally to Morocco or Lisbon, Morocco, whatever, Portugal, Morocco. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was really nice. So you can find deals sometime like that too. And I'm only throwing that out there because if some of you all want to do like an exploratory trip, you can put an alert on Google Flights or on Skyscanner. And they have other apps too that let you do alerts so that you
Mm-hmm.
just tell it the route, like the country you're going to be leaving from, the airport you're leaving from, and the airport you want to fly into. And you put an alert on there for a certain price amount. So if it goes that low, you get an alert and you can get first dibs on obviously timing, but
Yeah.
it's just good to know that you can do the alerts and that way you are like, just you don't miss any flight deals. The other option is to one of the ways that I'm able to fly back and forth home so much is through I use my points a lot. So
Mm-hmm.
not everything I'm paying cash. I use my points that I transfer from either my Chase Sapphire, and I just have the regular Chase Sapphire, Amex, Biz Platinum, or my Capital One Venture card. So those are the three cards I use, and I get points, from regular purchases, and I use those points to pay for my travel and kind of subsidizes
Wow.
the cost of going back and forth so often. So yeah,
Yeah.
something you have to consider.
Monica said it cost me 24 to go to Liverpool.
You said
Sorry, girl. I'm sorry.
I needed that
I'm
laugh.
laughing because I know it was true. I know
Yeah.
it's true. But you could have gone to Croatia for that.
Yeah.
Um, the ferry, Gallivan Granny, hey, said the ferry from Spain to Morocco was amazing for less than 35. Wow.
Wow. Nice to see you. I haven't had a chance
Mm-hmm.
to meet yet, but I know she was in Portugal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Um, let's see. Where did I leave off? Okay.
Some other countries people have got to make this move. Yes. Let me see.
Yes. So it all wants to know, what is it about Portugal that brings people there?
Oh man. Couple things. So there is an energy here that I can really appreciate. It attracts a lot of creatives, a lot of people who are like they're betting on themselves. So a lot of people that you meet out here, they may not have like traditional 9 to 5 jobs. Not everyone's retired. People really do work out here. I know it doesn't seem like it from like the IG stories and stuff, but it just attracts a certain personality, and they're normally pretty open. And just like people who are like they had a dream for a certain type of life, and they've come out here and they have created it. Obviously things don't always work out perfectly, but like most people that I know that are out here are really enjoying it. There are people who come out here who don't like it, and they end up leaving, but that's I think any country you go to. But I also like the biggest thing is like there's a level of safety here that I haven't experienced in other countries, and that's really high up for me. So being able to exist, not be afraid of police interactions, not be afraid of other people. I also like the fact that the people here are gracious. And what I mean by that is they are nice enough. Like I don't speak fluent Portuguese, but guess what? People here are gracious enough that like they understand. So when they see me trying, like, like they're helpful. And that's not true for every country. And Portugal also has a really great infrastructure when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to like transportation, but also the internet. So if you're a digital, if you work abroad or whatever, you work remotely, you have reliable Wi-Fi.
Mm-hmm.
People are always like, "Oh, I would never move to Europe." And I'm like, "That's fine." But like there are advantages to being places where like the infrastructure is strong. And yes, how it got strong is obviously, free labor, right? Not
Mm-hmm.
stupid, but like I do think we should position ourselves to benefit from the work of our, and the sacrifice of our ancestors, right? Like what
Mm-hmm.
better way to honor them than to be like, hey, we're living in the places that, sacrifices were made for us and for other people that, they probably didn't even imagine us living the way we are in these countries, right? That went,
Absolutely.
took extreme advantage of them in their country. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't think we should limit ourselves to just the continent. I think there are great opportunities to live on the continent and to enjoy
Absolutely.
because people are doing it, but we shouldn't limit ourselves to just the continent. We also
Mm-hmm.
should understand our belonging in other parts of the world because we have contributed significantly to those economies and to the infrastructure of those countries. So we deserve to be there also, like here
That
also.
is our reparations.
Yeah.
Frederica said,
Oh,
"Congratulations on your
thank
Jamaican
you. Yeah. It was such a,
passport."
I mean, I was so, 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 so happy. And yeah, it was just really great. I was really happy. Yeah.
Awesome. And Kimmy said, "The U.S. doesn't want us to get anything good
No
without
talking about
them being
taxes.
involved
Listen, they want their money all the time. But
all the
whenever
time."
yeah, look up if there's a dual taxation agreement so that you're not taxed on, both sides. Yeah.
Yes, yes, and actually, that was Nichelle said. People who say, "What about taxes?" haven't done their research on tax treaties,
Yeah,
and every situation is different depending on income.
it
Absolutely.
absolutely is. Yeah.
Can you get an overview of how to obtain your EIN? Will there be
You can do it.
differences depending on what state?
It's all online. And the EIN number, I believe it's a
It's
federal number. I don't
federal. Yeah, it's
know if
federal.
your state. It's just the way. The reason I suggested that is so that you're not throwing around your social security number when you're trying to
Mm-hmm.
get paid.
Yeah.
Use the EIN. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you could just
Uh,
literally Google online for how to get your EIN. You don't need to pay anyone to do
no,
it. Do
it's
it
free.
online yourself, and you actually get it like it's automated. It's not a difficult
Mm-hmm.
process. Yes, house sitting for the win. I haven't done it yet. I
Yes.
don't like pets, but
Except for one in particular she likes.
like Bailey and then Gracie. That's my sister's dog. Gracie's so adorable. But no, house sitting for the reason I brought that up is because again, it's another avenue for people who are like, oh, I don't have the
Mm-hmm.
money to, pay for accommodations and all this stuff. Like, just think about it. Look into house sitting. There are multiple platforms. Stephanie has a whole platform. I think
Mm-hmm.
Curious. She has a whole platform dedicated. Exodus Summit group, Facebook group is a
Yes.
great resource. Like there are so many people who have house sitting communities, so check them out if you're interested in that. And it is a pathway to get you abroad for more affordable. And it doesn't have to be long term, right? You might just want to do an exploratory visit, and the house
Mm-hmm.
sitting may allow you to do that and actually live like a local, compared to being in a hotel.
Exactly. Absolutely. E-free. WhatsApp or Facebook group for Black women inquiring to have community.
Yes, Blaxit
Well,
Global.
Black's Global or the Xpat
Yeah.
app.
And the Xpat app is a directory so that you can find these online Facebook groups. So once you go in, you type in the name and you should be able to see the articles where we saved. Mind you, that list not even comprehensive, but through those communities, you will also find other
Mhm.
communities and reach out to people who are already in the
Mhm.
location that you desire to live in. So the app is a directory of not just people, but communities as well. And then obviously
Mhm.
Blaxit Global, I cannot stress enough, like Krishan, like I said, I have a directory. Krishan has a community that is actively moving abroad. Krishan, how many people have you actually moved abroad to Portugal so far?
Ooh, to
It's
Portugal now. I think we're at 16. I think we're
yeah,
at
and that's
16 now.
and you have to
Yeah.
understand, well, this is a huge, like, I don't even deal with like actually moving people abroad. I just provide resources, right? Like, here are the resources because it's a lot of work. Krishan is out here literally equipping people with the skills that they need, with the tools, with the resources, with the people to like make the move abroad. I have met them. She has people coming again,
I
this
know
week.
they flying in the morning.
Done the work herself with a blueprint, like that you created yourself. Like, so just like in regards to credible people, Krishan is going to be your person for Portugal and for the broader, because you also have helped people move to other countries
Oh
too.
yeah, yep.
Like with
Thailand, a bunch of other
Asia, Thailand,
places,
yeah,
Vietnam.
yeah,
Absolutely. Look, wherever you want to go, I'm gonna get you there.
yeah. No, like you're really getting people there. Like it's a big deal. I don't know how you do it. It's a lot of work. Yeah. Oh, lonely.
What are loneliness coping skills?
So one thing is if you have things that you love to do, find communities and people who are doing those things. So, like, if you like to read, there are literally meetups for people who like to read. If you like to
Mm-hmm.
dance, go to a dancing place. Like, don't just stay by yourself all the time. If you like to work out, go to the gym. Put
Mm-hmm.
yourself in situations doing the things you like to do so that you can meet people. Because I don't think by like just staying in your house or not going to events. Okay, if you like to eat, like I went this weekend to Bridgette's. She had her brunch.
Yes, I was talking to her earlier.
Yeah, and like, and Bridget just had a beautiful feature on Good Morning America, so you all can see her story. It's a very beautiful like journey
Mm-hmm.
she's had so far, and like just meeting people. Like I met finally in person another Spelmanite there. Like we had talked, but I hadn't had a chance to actually meet her in person. And other people from our community were there, and it was just so nice. We just sitting there, having a great time, and really getting a chance to meet people in a personal setting, like 20 people over like some amazing Southern brunch. So like one coping skills is to not even get yourself in a position where you are super lonely, but the coping of it is like put yourself out there. Yes, it's uncomfortable and it feels
Mm-hmm.
weird, but you really do you 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 kind of have to just be uncomfortable just for a little bit so you can not be like so alone or whatever. Yeah. And
Absolutely. I
also find hobbies. I scrapbook. I do that by myself. I don't need anyone around me.
agree.
Therapeutic for me, and so like that's something that I do. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. Sister Geek Speaks wants to know if we've
Wizz
had
Air.
experiences on Wizz Air. I have not yet.
Oh yeah, I've flown Wizz Air multiple times and I like them. I've never had an issue in yeah, like it's a budget airline, but I've never had any issues with them. Yeah.
I'm looking at it
Mhm.
because I downloaded the app this morning because I need to be booking something for September.
One thing to pay attention to with the European airlines is their carry-on dimensions are much smaller than ours for the rolly. So like there's a
Oh,
European
okay.
carry-on dimension and then there's the US one. So I often see us come over and
We
be
always
offered
gotta be
rolly
different.
fits. So theirs is much smaller, so that's the only thing. That's where they make their money. They make their money on luggage, right?
Yeah.
And charging you for seats. So like one of the things, if you're going to fly the budget airlines for Europe, you really can't bring that much stuff unless you're just going to pay to
Hmm.
check the bag. But that's how they're going to make their money. So they'll make the flight 24, but your bag might be like $35, something like that, or
Oh,
euros.
okay.
Yeah,
It's still it's that's more reasonable than 400.
yeah. But you'll start out
Bon
24.
and Jay said
Mhm.
Aer Lingus Airlines gives employees 6 weeks off in January for a holiday
Wow.
maintenance time off. The
Uh-huh.
entire time will be a scouting trip. What?
Yes,
Awesome.
Portugal. We're here.
Yay.
I'm gone
Come
most of
come look
December.
us up.
Yeah, I should be back by January in January.
Yeah. Jess, it is. I don't even know what time it is.
It's
Oh, it's
late.
12:07.
I work. Oh, okay, so that's the other thing you all like. You have to think about. Like, I work U.S. hours, so like all my clients, like if they're meeting with, you know what I mean, it's U.S.
Mhm.
because guess what, they pay more. So you get what I'm trying to say. Like, yeah, I can have
Yeah.
your clients, but they don't pay as well. So but because I work half the week, it's like about averages out to like 4 hours a day, maybe five if I'm not working on Friday. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's just something to consider. But I still wake up at like 12 every day. By the time I like showered everything, actually get up and my start my day is like 2 p.m. Yeah. So I go to sleep late. Yeah.
Oh wow. Let's see.
Sharing
I
tips for
rec-
one.
yes, join the dinner club. Yes, I did. And then pickleball. Yeah, you got to get into activities. I started doing Pilates. I was
Nice.
looking at gyrotonics, but the studio that I found, there were two. They were pretty far, so I'm probably gonna re-up with Pilates again. But it's like when you have the freedom of time.
Mhm.
Now I have the time for the things that I couldn't do either because work was taking up a lot of my time or responsibilities with the kids and things like that.
Mhm.
But now it's like, oh, well, now I have my time, right? I walk the dog, I can go to Pilates or take on another activity or pick up something that, I'm interested in,
Mhm.
now I like these boats, like just things.
You got life. That's such a nice thing to say.
Now I like these boats and things like that. Yes, no
Yeah.
man, where I'm excited. And I should be rapping because these ladies are going to want me to be fully awake tomorrow.
I know. I should be able to still. Yeah. I hope I get to meet some of the ladies this weekend. Yeah.
yes, 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 definitely, definitely. Let's see. Teresa said, I'm manifesting my 2025 6 month sabbatical and will definitely be returning to Portugal. Yes, we miss
Man,
you.
thank you for bringing up sabbaticals. Sabbaticals are a wonderful, wonderful gift you can give yourself. I've done two different types of sabbaticals. I did a sabbatical while I was working still at Deloitte, and I did that for 6 months, and then
Mm,
went back to Deloitte. Because it was like an interruption of my career, whatever. But they knew I was coming back, so that was one way. And then I did a complete career break. So like you have both. Both were so essential, rejuvenated my
mm-hmm.
soul. You have to plan financially for them. But it was the best money I ever spent. I don't care what I mean. Obviously, that money could have been, oh, I could have invested this and oh, I could have whatever. I did not care. That money, that was the best money I ever spent on myself. It was a gift to myself. And I had a time to just completely like that was when I did my pivot, like my life change, because I had completely like detached myself from my job of 10 years and then also like gave me space to rethink the type of life I wanted going forward. COVID was in the middle of it. It was like
Mm-hmm.
record scratch, but I kept going and landed in Portugal and everything worked out. So yeah, like the sabbaticals and the career breaks, we don't talk about that enough in our community because they're just not
Yeah.
common. But
Mm-hmm.
something to consider, and I am also happy to talk to people about those because I think they're much needed for us. Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, Mary Goff. Hey, Mary. I've watched your channel. Yes. Good evening from Panama. Oh, awesome. Hope you're doing well.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Definitely reach out when you come in October. Would love to see you. So Shar, as we start to wrap, first of all, thank
Mhm.
you for,
Thank
being your
you.
wonderful self as you always are. But how do people like follow you, get on the Xpat app? Like what tell the people
It's
for
funny.
those that don't know.
It's funny because I am horrible at responding and all these things. So part of my self care is because I've had these extreme personal things happening. I am like the platform is there, but I'm not super active. You know what I mean? Because I'm taking care of
Hmm.
myself right now, and I have boundaries, right? But we do have the app again. You can join the app. There's a lovely community there. It's literally over 20K people. Not everyone is already abroad, so we have people who are aspiring to live abroad. And people who are already abroad, we have study abroad students, we have nomads, and people who just want to support the community. So it's a broad
Hmm.
range on the app. But that's probably the best place to like just go find info. We also have expat chats, which I'm embarrassed to say we haven't done a chat in so long. But again,
That's
life being
okay,
life. Yeah,
girl.
yeah, yeah. And the other thing is I have my personal I guess public personal page. It's just Feet Meets Land. Every now and then I share some stuff on there too. So yeah, but
Yeah.
I think I am a little bit less active on socials than probably most people who have platforms, but that's just because, like I said, I am an introvert, but I do love our community.
Hmm.
So if I don't respond, it's not because like I'm trying to be like Hollywood or anything like that. It's just because I'm normally just keeping to myself and minding my business.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah,
No, I
but
get it. I get it.
thank you, Krishan. Because I have not. Oh, and thank you, Sister Geek Speaks. I appreciate the feedback. I really, really appreciate it. I have, like Krishan, I can't tell you enough. Like what you are building, what you have already built. The work you're doing is just like we need it in our community so much. We need people like you who are like really doing the work, the Lord's work. So I can't tell you enough. Just thank you because it's not just your platform, but it's like you individually, like you're just doing so much and people through you can like have some encouragement like inspiration of knowing like all the things that are possible, people moving abroad who do have children, like just knowing like you can still do this. And
Hmm.
so I just want to say thank you because you are such a leader, trailblazer in our community, and we need people like you. So just thank you because I know it's not an easy lift. You could have definitely just moved abroad on your own and been like, all right, y'all figure
My work here is done.
it
Boop.
out. No, but I know the amount of work that goes into, and so I just appreciate it because it's also like the credibility behind what you have built. Because we do have people in our community, unfortunately, who do take advantage of us. So like, I highly respect you and just thank you. Like, I appreciate you so much. So thanks.
Thank you. And I appreciate you and everything that you've done for me personally, professionally. the app, the conversations, the friendship. You
Yeah.
are, and I, like I said, I sing your praises all day, every
Same, likewise.
day.
I'm like, we are so lucky, and we have a beautiful. I know I saw Nicole was on and Mel into DC. Like, we just have such a dope,
Yeah,
beautiful, strong community out here. It's a really beautiful, and it's just nice to feel supported. Like, it's just
yeah,
really nice.
yeah,
We're not out here by ourselves. And for anyone who's thinking
exactly.
about the journey outside of Portugal, we have some strong communities. So I do encourage you to tap in. And you may not, not every group is going to be for you, right? Like in regards to like you vibing with it and feeling comfortable. So, oh, thank you. I'm so glad you've met some good people. That's what it's for. I just want to connect us. Yeah. I'm like a total like data
Yeah.
nerd person. So like I was like, oh, an app, a platform where you can connect and Google. So yeah, it's like I'm so glad people are actually using it. And I hope you all are making some good connections. Yeah.
Yes, most definitely. And I love it. The
Yes.
connections. Thank you, Frederica. I look
Yes.
forward to seeing you when you come here. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Definitely have a lot of people come through and
Yes, yeah. I love seeing people when they come here. And, if I have the time, I try to make the time. I can't promise in August because these ladies done.
we're gonna have
These
a
ladies
heavy
that took all my time. But we're going to
yeah.
have a lot of fun. And hopefully, maybe I'll even have one or two on so you
Mhm.
guys can learn more about what the experience is. But
Yeah.
nevertheless, I feel like regardless, like I said, of what the election does this
Yeah.
year, you have agency, you have
Yes.
freedom. Our bill has been paid.
It has been
And
paid by the
so
ancestors.
it
Okay.
is time,
Yeah.
right? If
Yeah.
this is a calling on your heart,
Hmm.
listen to your gut, learn to trust yourself, tune out the naysayers.
Yeah.
There's over 69 episodes of the Blaxit Global podcast. I'm actually going to be recording one tomorrow. For those of you who've been looking for the season finale, it's coming on Monday. Um, I tried to do it before, but America keeps doing shit. So every time I get ready to record,
Yeah.
I'm like, I gotta wait.
Something else
So
happened.
I feel like I got my
Yeah.
window tomorrow. So,
Yeah. Got some time. Yeah.
but nevertheless, all that is to say is that if you have a calling on your heart, wherever that calling is leading you in this world, you owe it to yourself
You
to
really.
follow it. And we've done it. We continue to encourage and support others to do the same. Hopefully you've gotten a lot out of this conversation. You've gotten inspiration, information, but also at the end of the day, it is on you to take inspired action. And so I hope that this is what you've gotten out of this. I look forward to seeing y'all next Thursday. Same bat time, same bat channel. And thank you again, Shar, for
Thank you for
bringing it
having me.
as always.
You and Stephanie and Rashida have the most engaged YouTube like audience and channels. I don't know anyone else who's are so strong. So
Yes, they're
yeah,
amazing. I look forward to these Thursday nights. It's like
yeah,
it's always a late night for me because now it's like almost 12:30, but it's like I get so energized from it.
yeah.
And it is really something I love. I feel like I'm in my purpose. And so for those
Yes,
of you, if you were like me that struggled and were like, "Wait, I make all this money, but I don't have no
you
purpose,"
want to
I
do?
found my purpose, right? I found my purpose. My
Yeah.
purpose is lighting a path for other people
Mhm.
to find their way to their yes, their bliss, their soft life, their joy. We are more than deserving. You are more than deserving of this life. And so I'll see y'all next Thursday, okay? Bye, y'all.
Bye. Thank you all.